to what you see now, where you probably see some pretty awful reports frequently.
Well, fighting climate change was one of the things that brought me into politics.
I heard it's retarded or something.
Welcome back to Canadian Political Clips, where we dive deep into the murky waters of politics. Today's target, none other than the maestro of mediocrity himself, Justin Trudeau, leading the Liberal orchestra of broken promises. Trudeau's been making the rounds on podcasts, trying to spin his environmental record like he's the savior of the planet. But let's be real, folks. His track record is about as green as a traffic light stuck on red. He's got more flip-flops than a beach resort, changing his tune whenever it suits his agenda. Let's talk electric vehicles, shall we?
Electric vehicles and announcements like this today fit into the big picture of our fight against climate change.
Well, the big picture is actually bigger than just the fight against climate change. It's the big picture of where we're going as a country, and how are Canadians going to thrive in a very, very different world over the coming decades. And that's something that we've all been thinking about for a long time. And for me, the opportunity to highlight that Canada is and should be seen as one of those places that if you're buying something that was made in Canada or created in Canada or invented in Canada or whatever, anywhere in the world you should be able to say, okay, if there's a maple leaf on it, if it was made in Canada, I know that it was done well, that it paid well the workers, it's environmentally responsible, it's probably done in partnership with Indigenous peoples, or at least in respect. Like that.
The guy's an idiot.
Trudeau's been hyping them up like they're the golden ticket to a carbon-free future. But here's the kicker. While he's busy preaching about EVs, auto manufacturers are slamming the brakes on production faster than you can say, carbon tax. Why? Because Trudeau's economic policies have turned Canada into a used car lot with no buyers in sight. And let's not forget Trudeau's climate report card.
Because I think that's important to the conversation we're having. But you also didn't give yourself a grade, your government grade.
I used to be a teacher. I was in the business of giving people grades. As a politician, you get graded by citizens, and that happens in elections. And it doesn't really happen in between, although opinion polls can give you a sense of how people are feeling.
You hate me, don't you? No, I don't hate you.
When asked to grade himself, he dodges the question like a politician dodging a scandal. Can you blame him, though? Admitting failure isn't exactly his strong suit. It's like asking a cat to bark. It's just not gonna happen. But hey, Trudeau's got big dreams, right? He's talking about Canada becoming a global leader in clean energy. Sounds great on paper, until you realize it's like trying to sell snow to Eskimos.
Harper being able to achieve any of his targets, like we've had decades of government saying, yes, the environment matters, but when comes time to saying to Canadians, okay, you got to pee in the dark and save 3 cents a night, or you've got to figure out how to reduce your consumption of electricity or reduce your consumption. People actually haven't been put on the spot of making those changes, because change is hard, and change sometimes feels more expensive even if you're going to end up saving money in the long term. So we've had successive governments, including Liberal governments, that were very good at creating national parks as political governments.
You've done lots of that.
But are you actually protecting the areas that are outside of the national parks? Are you actually changing the way the economy works? That has always been much, much harder. And that's where our decision to bring in a price on pollution and use it as not just something that is going to be fighting climate change, but using it as a measure of affordability to actually put more money back in people's pockets, but also as an argument to global investors coming in saying, look, we are acting on fighting climate change. There's a steel plant in Hamilton that would have been paying hundreds of millions of dollars in climate change, in a climate tax on a price on pollution by 2030, but they are now going to be shifting to electric arc instead, so they won't be using that kind of coal to fire their furnaces. These are the shifts that not just make sense economically, but they actually make sense in terms of good jobs. So actually being a government that is doing things where we're going to meet our 2030 targets, we're on track to surpass them, we're moving forward in a way that no government has ever seen before. That is a significant difference, and that's significantly better than any other government.
What a stupid idiot.
We're already lagging behind, and Trudeau's promises are about as sturdy as a house of cards in a windstorm. It's like trying to teach a turtle to tap dance. It's just not going to happen. So while Trudeau's busy patting himself on the back, the rest of us are left wondering when the real change is going to come. Spoiler alert. It's not going to come from a politician who's more interested in photo ops than policy solutions. But hey, at least we'll have plenty of selfies to remember him by when the floods come rolling in. Cheers to that.